transaction has a seller and one or more buyers, and a seller can surrender more than one certificate of ownership. In the same transaction, a company can reissue any number of certificates of ownership to multiple buyers. The transaction form is accessible from the owner register by pressing the owner register button under all forms on the navigation toolbar, then pressing the transactions button on the owner register. It can be faster to press the owner register bar on the navigation toolbar, then press the transactions button. The form is also accessible by pressing owner register from the data files menu at the top of the screen, then pressing the transactions button on the owner register. Each of these methods for accessing the form displays a list of dates on the left side of the form. If you know the date of the transaction, you can find it quickly by selecting transactions with that date until you find the specific transaction that you need. Double-click a certificate in the Replace Certificates list to view the transaction that preceded the currently selected transaction. And you can double-click a certificate in the Replaced By Certificates list to view the transaction that follows. Another way to open the Transactions form is from the Certificates form. If you select a certificate that has not been surrendered, the View Purchase button appears at the bottom of the form. I'll select Certificate 125. When I press the View Purchase button, the transaction form appears with Certificate 125 in the Replaced By Certificates list. The certificate that was replaced by 124 through 128 is listed in the Replaced Certificates list. If I double-click Certificate 125, I get the message, "This certificate has not been surrendered. No certificate follows it." But if I double-click the Replaced Certificate, Certificate 113, I can view the previous transaction and Certificate 111, which was replaced by Certificate 113. I can then double-click Certificate 111, and the three certificates that were replaced by Certificate 111 appear. I can continue to double-click certificates in the Replaced Certificates list until I reach the certificate that was initially issued by the company. Let's go back to the Certificates form and select a surrendered certificate like Certificate 124. When it's selected, the View Sale button appears, permitting us to view the transaction where Certificate 124 was traded. Here we can see that it was replaced by Certificate 125. We can see that Certificate 125 has not been surrendered because it's not highlighted in green. And if we double-click it, the message appears that it's not surrendered and that no certificate follows it. But we can follow transactions back to the initial issue by double-clicking certificates in the Replace Certificates list until we get to the message, "This is an initial issue. No certificates preceded." Let's go back to the Certificates form and we can view the same information in the columns at the far right of each row, but it's far more difficult to track certificates from transaction to transaction than it is by double-clicking a certificate on a Transactions form to view the preceding or following transaction. This concludes the tutorial for the Transactions form.